Good morning, everyone. It's lovely to see you out there in virtual land. Welcome to the First Unitarian Society of Milwaukee. I'm Reverend Dina McFeeters, and I'm honored to serve as First Unitarian Society of Milwaukee's Associate Minister. We welcome people of all genders, sexualities, ages, races, histories, ethnicities, and bodies. We welcome your mind, your heart, and your spirit. We welcome all that you are carrying with you and all that your heart longs to set down. I welcome you to our worship service by inviting you to repeat our mission after me. We gather to nurture the spirit, engage the mind, and inspire action. These opening words are adapted from the Upanishads. We light this chalice to help us move from untruth to truth, to help us move from animosity to love, to help us move from bondage to freedom. We rededicate ourselves before this light to affirm and practice truth, wisdom, love, and freedom today and in the days to come. Let's return to our beloved sanctuary to light the flaming chalice, symbol of Unitarian Universalism.
I'm the Reverend Kimberly Tomchek Carlson, and it is my honor to serve as the Minister of Religious Education. The story I have for you today is called What Do You Do with an Idea? And it's by Kobe Yamada. One day I had an idea. Where did it come from? Why is it here? I wondered. What do you do with an idea? At first, I didn't think much of it. It seemed kind of strange and fragile. I didn't know what to do with it, so I just walked away from it. I acted like it didn't belong to me, but it followed me. I worried, what would others think? What would people say about my idea? I kept it to myself. I hid it away and I didn't talk about it. I tried to act like everything was the same as it was before my idea showed up. But there was something magical about my idea. I had to admit, I felt better, happier when it was around. It wanted food. It wanted to play. Actually, it wanted a lot of attention. It grew bigger, and we became friends. I showed it to other people, though I was afraid of what they would say. I was afraid that if people saw it, they would laugh at it. I was afraid they would think it was silly, and many of them did. They said it was no good. They said it was too weird. They said it was a waste of time and it would never become anything. And at first, I believed them. I actually thought about giving up my idea. I almost listened to them. But then I realized, what do they know? This is my idea, I thought. No one knows it like I do. And it's okay if it's different and weird and maybe even a little crazy. I decided to protect it, to care for it. I fed it good food. I worked with it. I played with it. But most of all, I gave it my attention. And my idea grew and grew, and so did my love for it. I built it a new house, one with an open roof, where it could look up at the stars, a place where it could be safe to dream. I liked being with my idea. It made me feel more alive, like I could do anything. It encouraged me to think big and then to think bigger. It shared its secrets with me. It showed me how to walk on my hands because it said, it is good to have the ability to see things differently. I couldn't imagine my life without it. Then one day, something amazing happened. My idea changed right before my very eyes. It spread its wings, took flight, and burst into the sky. I don't know how to describe it, but it went from being here to being everywhere. It wasn't just part of me anymore. It was now part of everything. And then I realized, what do you do with an idea? You change the world. The end.
Thank you, Kimberly, for that lovely story. My dear ones, because of these unprecedented times in which we're living and the way that our lives are touched by grief and loss during this global coronavirus pandemic, we continue our pandemic practice of lighting the COVID candle for any of our members who have had a loved one die during this period, either from COVID or another cause. If you have had a loved one die from coronavirus or another cause during this time and would like the COVID candle lit for them in their honor during Sunday worship, please contact one of the ministers. On Tuesday, January 19th, we passed a terrible milestone of 400,000 deaths from COVID-19 in the United States. You've noticed we light the candle for every 100,000 more deaths from COVID-19 in the United States that occur. And last week, we passed this milestone again. We grieve this terrible number of lives lost, and we also grieve the deaths of loved ones of our members. Justin Robbins' stepfather, Robert Tremonti, died from kidney and lung cancer on Tuesday, January 5th, in Bluffton, South Carolina. He was 84 years old. Kathy Donius's brother, Al Donius, died after a 2-month-long struggle with COVID-19 on Friday, January 15th, in Buffalo, New York. He was 56 years old. Patricia McFarland's brother-in-law, David Lloyd, died of cardiac arrest on Wednesday, January 20th, in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. He was 68 years old. Today, we light our COVID candle in honor of the now over 400,000 people in the United States who have lost their lives to COVID-19, and our own church members' loved ones, Robert Tremonti, Al Donius, and David Lloyd. I am sorry to say that we also have a candle of life to honor the death of one of our church members. Judy Anderson died peacefully Friday morning, January 22nd at 11:31 a.m. while a nurse held her hand at Lawless Family Hospice in Mequon, Wisconsin. Judy was diagnosed with liver cancer recently. She was 80 years old and a member of our congregation for 20 years. Plans for an informal online memory circle will be forthcoming. As is our custom in this church, whenever we have a birth, an adoption, or a death of one of our members, we light a candle of life. Today, in honor of Judith C. Anderson. As we enter into a time of meditation, followed by silence, followed by singing Spirit of Life, I invite you to find a way wherever you are to ground and center yourself. Perhaps you can put both feet on the floor, maybe find a way to lift your spine so you can breathe deeply, and let your hands come to a resting place. Please join me in this prayer of gratitude, opening yourself to all the beauty and wonder to bring gratefulness into our hearts. This is written by Amanda Eudice Kessler. Planet is born, a spark ignites, something completely new comes into being. We give thanks for the mystery and miracle of life. A waterfall descends, a rainbow arcs through the sky, the ocean opens to an endless horizon. We give thanks for the mystery and miracle of beauty. The stars pierce our hearts. Peace envelops us. We are blessed. We give thanks for the mystery and miracle of wonder. In the midst of pain, we find our way to hope and restoration. We give thanks for the mystery and miracle of healing. In the midst of fear, we do what is right and speak our truth in faith. We give thanks for the mystery and miracle of courage. In our aloneness, we see someone in greater need and offer ourselves to them. We give thanks for the mystery and miracle of compassion. We gather virtually, in community, in relationship, in friendship, and cherish each other. We give thanks for the mystery and miracle of love.
Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion, rolling the wind and rising the sea, in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots holding wings, set me free, set me Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
Good morning. My name is Paul Kosadowski, and I'm honored to be your worship associate today. I've spent my life around creative people, people of imagination, you might say. But I'm not sure I'd use that term to describe myself. In high school and college, I was involved in theater and played piano in music groups. But it turns out these activities were mere steps to a different sort of pursuit. I wanted to be a critic. I know, I can hear the boos and hisses from here. They're understandable and somewhat deserved. My intentions were noble. I wanted to share my love of the performing arts and my conviction that they could bring joy and solace, offer insight, and even transform lives. After I graduated from college, I took a volunteer position teaching middle school music and English in Newark, New Jersey. Every weekend, I went to New York to soak in the culture. Jazz clubs, concerts, dance, theater, art museums. I can still remember every moment of the Gospel at Colonus, a 2,500-year-old tragedy of Oedipus told via a Black Pentecostal service. It was electric, truth and beauty made visceral, and it confirmed my feelings that the arts were an essential part of our lives. A year later, I enrolled in journalism school in Madison, kept seeing everything I could, and devoured anthologies of critics like Pauline Kael and Kenneth Tynan. Unfortunately, as I began to review shows, I tried to emulate their sarcasm along with their insight. I didn't quite embrace the snark of Dorothy Parker, who once wrote that an actor ran the whole gamut of emotions from A to B. But in those early years, the act of passing judgment on other people's creative pursuits sort of went to my head. Then my career took an unexpected turn. I got a job at a theater, the Milwaukee Rep, and started working with actors rather than sitting alone in the audience passing judgment on them. And yes, I was now working with some of the actors that had been the subject of my occasionally snarky reviews. Like my previous work, my job involved research and writing about plays, but unlike my mostly solitary work as a critic, my new job at a theater brought me into the company of creative people, a community of imagination. The energy of the place was palpable. It buzzed with ideas, debates, disagreements, synergies, and inspiration. Designers, builders, administrators, musicians, technicians, writers, actors, and directors drew on their imaginations to create something unique but unified. Each production was an amalgam of diverse visions that came together to create something that fulfills our own First Church mission: nurturing the spirit, engaging the mind, and inspiring action. I suppose the theater was my spiritual home before I came to First Church. My years of working with these people of imagination taught me that the power of the arts is not found in a singular, isolated consciousness, but in a network of relationships that help people collectively imagine a beautiful, righteous future. whether it's on a stage or in the world. These are hard times for the arts. Companies and performers have adapted, offering work live or recorded from around the world via video streaming. But a soliloquy or symphony on a computer screen cannot replace the feeling of promise that courses through a theater, the place where we can sit shoulder to shoulder and creatively imagine a world and a future together.
Family.
Community.
Basketball.
Laughing with people I love.
Rock climbing.
Children.
Rivers.
Music.
Being in nature.
Truth.
I've got nothing against you. I just want to be heard. Like every child, woman, and man in this big, beautiful world. I knew boys like you in high school. Thought if I ignored, you'd go away. But what I fear grows, what I resist persists. I need joy to be my best. How do I look on you with joy in my heart? Look on you with joy in my heart. I get up before the sunrise, look at the stars in the night sky. I breathe in and out slowly, letting my fears rise up out of me like smoke floating over the sea. I find the joy in my heart early, open my eyes to the birds and trees. I feel joy in my heart, joy in my heart, joy in the world, 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 joy in the world. I read the hiding place, lived through an arms race, knew at 4 I'd not retaliate against the bomb if up to me, 'cause then there'd be no place to be. Oh no, not a gun in every school, digging in the oceans for dirty fuel, backing out of what we agreed to, and I fear the worst. With joy in my heart, joy in my heart. The way you look at something changes things. The way you look at something changes things. The way you look at something changes things. So who you gonna be? How you gonna see? Some say it's mercy, others give hugs for free. Some try to get us to zero. Kids in New York from every land who don't know any different. They're laughing and holding hands while parents watch them play. With joy in their hearts, joy in their hearts, joy in the world. With joy in our hearts, joy in the world, joy in our hearts, joy in the world, joy in the world, joy in the world. Get up before the sunrise, look at the stars in the night sky. I breathe in and out slowly.
Thank you so much, Anne Heaton, for bringing up the joy in our hearts. Ah, I am wondering, everybody, how have you been transformed by the arts? How has the joy of imagination and creativity changed you? I saw a production of The Gospel at Colonus in 1986, at the old Guthrie Theater in Minneapolis. And the show featured the Blind Boys of Alabama. It was an amazing production. I was spellbound, transfixed, and transformed. I was there by mistake. My parents gave me their tickets when they couldn't go at the last minute. I invited an atheist friend to go with me, not really thinking about that. She agreed to attend with one condition, that I pay her a nickel for every time someone said Jesus, God, or Amen. I paid her a lot of nickels, and it was worth every penny. As Paul mentioned in his Worship Associates story, the Gospel at Colonus is a gospel music adaptation of Sophocles' tragedy Oedipus at Colonus, set in a Black Pentecostal church. It was a collaboration with lyrics by experimental theater director Lee Brewer and music by composer Bob Telson. It was a 1985 finalist for the Pulitzer Prize in Drama, so you know it was good. It was more than good. Seeing the Gospel at Colonus broke something loose in me about death and grief and joy and praise. It took me to church in a way no Unitarian Universalist worship had ever done in the 1980s. Got me on my feet, told me that emotion is divine, our bodies are a sacred vessel, and that our spirits live on after death. The Gospel at Colonus melded my nerdy undergraduate theater history studies with Black gospel music and religion. It played with my head. I could never look at the Greek tragedies in the same way again. I saw them with fresh eyes. I saw the world, the cycle of life and death with fresh eyes. How have you been transformed by the arts? How has the joy of imagination and creativity changed you? I experienced a performance of Kalevala, Dream of the Salmon Maiden, by Ruth Mackenzie in Minneapolis in the late 1990s. I say experienced because it was more than going to the theater. It was an immersion into a world of imagination that I've never had before or since. The Kalevala is a 19th century work of epic poetry from Finnish folklore. Mackenzie created a song cycle from the part of the story about the character Aino and her choice to refuse marriage to the sorcerer and instead transform herself into a salmon. For the lines between the human and natural world are very thin in this epic. But Mackenzie's production was so much more than a song cycle. There was music and song, yes, but also story, drama, dance, and visual art that immersed us into a world of mythic proportions. Using the vocal sounds and oral poetry of the Scandinavian and Finno-Ugric traditions of ancient women's songs, cry singing, spell singing, and animal calls, Mackenzie created an original event. No one could leave the experience of that production unchanged. Mackenzie's Kalevala was also a collaboration: musicians, singers, dancers, storytellers, film artists, set designers, etc. But even more interesting is the path that led Mackenzie to create this work of imagination. She told the story this way. She said, "Since 1993, I have spent many summers performing throughout Finland and Sweden with Eric Peltonimi and the musical group Trova. My first summer in Finland was magical. I had never experienced sunlight at 3 a.m., nor the kind of physical exuberance the midnight sun can evoke in a body. Trova's first performance in Finland was at the Kaustinen Folk Music Festival. As is true with most festivals, the joy is not only in performing, but hearing the incredible diversity of music gathered in one place. I happened upon a concert called High and Loud, presented by several singers from the Sibelius Folk Music Academy. I now look back on that day as either an incredible stroke of luck, the beginning of my own personal triathlon, or as one of the more quirky tricks the universe has ever played on me. Sitting in a small movie house that doubles as the village concert hall, I witnessed a slight, mousy looking woman stand several feet from the microphone and produce a sound so compelling my bones rattled. She was kulning, a high-pitched Swedish song for calling animals. The sound itself made me question, am I hearing the human voice or the animal within the human? The sound itself made me question, am I crying because I have discovered a sound which reveals the ancient in my own Scandinavian heritage, or one that leads me to the taproot of human sound and music making, where we all meet regardless of our ethnic backgrounds? The sound itself grabbed me at my core and demanded that I try to be a channel for the song. In the summer of 1994, she continues, I traveled to Sweden and Finland and began my study of the traditional vocal sounds of kulning, yoiking, spirit songs of the Sami people, Itku Versi, song of the crier, and Ingrian choral sounds, edgy polytonal singing. I began to understand that the lyric and melody sources for most of the techniques I was working on rose out of a pre-Christian age. I read the Kalevala and the anthologies of Finno-Ugrian poetry, she continued, and began to understand these sources to be more than poetic verse. They were songs. And central to this tradition of song is the singer. Over and over, I read passages in these works describing the power of the singer to evoke transformation. Truly at the heart of this work is the voice, the untamed voice, the voice of the Ingrian choral songs, the voice of the crier, the voice of spells and incantations, the voice for calling the animals. All of them house an intangible quality of otherworldliness, of magic. The magic is connection. It is recognizing in these sounds something the ancients understood very well. There is a way to inform the present through the past. There are sounds that vibrate the spirit and awaken the life. Let me ask again, how have you been transformed by the arts? How has the joy of imagination and creativity changed you? This last week reawakened my imagination. Last Wednesday, to be precise, after the inauguration, I saw a Facebook post that said, Amanda Gorman is why the arts are more than an elective. Artists are necessary. Art is necessary. Do you agree? I do. Gorman's poem, The Hill We Climb, and her delivery of it began the healing of our nation. Ooh. It's still with me, as I imagine it is with you. Whew. By the end of the inauguration, I began to believe again in the power of imagination and creativity, in the power of imagination and creativity to heal brokenness, to heal us, to heal our nation, and to bring a new world into being. There have been so many unimaginable horrors over the last months and years that honestly, I had lost a great deal of my faith in imagination. During this pandemic, other than writing sermons for you, I set aside my creativity. I am just beginning to turn my face to the sun again. And the arts are showing me the way. Meg Hutchinson said of Milwaukee musician Ann Heaton's song Joy that we heard just a few minutes ago, I remember crying with happiness when I first heard a recording of Joy. I was standing on a busy street corner in downtown Boston. I remember the moment my fear and grief lifted. That softening, that moment, turning my face toward the morning sunlight. What we need most in a dark time, she wrote, are artists who help us reframe, who help us see the essential goodness, and who keep us turning toward the light and toward one another, even when our hearts are gripped with fear. Friends, we know that our imaginations can lead us to hope or fear. Our imaginations can run wild, or they can bring the wild to life. We can use our imaginations with creativity to create new positive worlds. How does your imagination affect you and how you view the world? How is your imagination affecting you right now? This morning, I've been talking a lot about having an experience of the performing arts. But what about the process of imagination and creativity in our own lives? I believe that everyone is creative. You don't have to have specific skills or talents to be creative. You just need to be willing to play around with things, to play around with ideas, to ask, what if? In a blog post earlier this month, IRES trainer Robin Carnes wrote, play is not just a silly diversion, it's a profound thing. When integrated consciously into our lives, play becomes a healing practice that helps us unlock new human potential and facilitates the opposite of trauma. When we're able to access that potential, Robin says, our nervous system, bodies, and minds are no longer constricted by what trauma brings. Widely recognized as a pioneer in mind-body therapies for more than 30 years, Robin has worked extensively with veterans, with survivors of military sexual abuse, as well as civilians who have experienced trauma, anxiety, depression, and other afflictions. Through ongoing exploration, Robin developed what she calls a lifelong curriculum to not just mitigate symptoms of trauma, but to address its cause key amid the curriculum, as it turned out, has been play. At any given moment, she wrote, we find plenty of excuses to skip play. We have to work. We have no money. We're socially isolating. Yet the times we're troubled or preoccupied are the times that play becomes most transformative. You don't have to feel playful to play, says Robin. You can practice. You can practice play. Any of you who live with young children know that playing is their job. In the world of a child's imagination, anything can happen. What can we learn from children? That play doesn't have to be profound, it can just be fun. And you can play even when you don't feel like playing. Songwriter Anne Heaton and her husband wrote a playful song that came right out of everyday life, raising their daughters. Anne tells the story like this. I was out of town and my husband Frank was in charge of our daughters. When I returned, Frank told me that our 5-year-old, who loves food and eats it with unadulterated pleasure, had asked to eat her donut in the car on the ride home from the donut shop. He told her she couldn't and explained that they needed to keep the car clean. She could eat the donut once they got home. Their daughter said, I just want to hold the donut. I'm not going to eat it yet. Yeah, right. When Frank told Anne this story, he broke into song and an idea was born. Later that year, they wrote the Donut Song, which we'll hear in a moment. But before we listen to the Donut Song, I just want to tell you my takeaway from these things I'd been reading, that I don't have to feel playful in order to play. I can play. I can practice playing. And maybe that will reawaken my imagination, my faith, my hope, and my creativity, and what I can bring to building a new world. So as we listen to the Donut Song, I invite us to just think about our everyday lives. Our everyday lives are where we play. Look around. Is there an object in your environment that you can play with? Can you make it into something else using your imagination? Is there an idea that you've wanted to play around with but haven't had the time? Play with the idea. Maybe the time to play is right now, because our creativity and imagination is what is going to get us beyond the trauma of the past few months and years. Our imagination and creativity is what is going to get us to a new world. And it's okay to have fun along the way.
Is it our turn yet? Why is there such a long line? I want chocolate, chocolate with sprinkles this time. Can I eat it now? Okay, not in the car. I can eat it at home, but home is so far. I just wanna hold the donut. I'm not gonna eat it yet. I just wanna hold it. I'm not gonna eat it yet. Why are we stopping here? Ooh, can I have one too. He gets a toy for his birthday. Oh, but I never do. So can I eat it now? Yes, my seatbelt is on. I promise I won't spill. Oh, come on. I just wanna hold the donut. I'm not gonna eat it yet. I just wanna hold it. I'm not gonna eat it yet. Oh.
Mom? Mom? Hey, Mom? Mommy? Mama? Mommy? Dad?
Just wanna hold the donut. I'm not gonna eat it yet. I just wanna hold it. I'm not gonna eat it yet. I just wanna hold the donut. I'm not gonna eat it yet. I just wanna hold it. I'm not gonna eat it yet.
Woo! That was fun. Shush, shush.
That was fun. Thank you so much, Ann Heaton and family. And thank you all so much for your generosity. Pledges are the core of our church's spiritual practice of generosity. And we're also grateful for additional gifts to support our ministry, and thank the folks out there who are appreciating this online ministry and supporting it by texting 73256 with the message "Give to you," or by giving on our website. Your gifts help us continue to provide this ministry. We also share the plate with an organization each month. Peace Action Wisconsin is our January Share the Plate recipient. Peace Action Wisconsin is a peace and justice organization which works to abolish the threats of war and nuclear weapons. They are committed to nonviolence as a way of life for a world where human needs are met and the environment is preserved. You can go to their website and give with the note "Share the Plate" from FUSM. You can see all these options on your screen now, and they will live on in the YouTube comments section of this video after worship is over. Thank you so much for giving right now or when you come back later. Your support keeps us and our community partners going. Thank you. These closing words are by Susan L. Van Drieser. Let us sing the magic of imagination by which we know one another and learn the lives of eras gone by. Let us sing the magic of creation by which we build the world of our soul and teach its wisdom to others, young and old. Let us sing the magic of our lives together, holding and shaping by the movement of breath from heart to lung, all new life that is to come. Go now with singing. Go now with magic in your fingertips. Touch this world with life. May it be so.
We are going, heaven knows where we are going. We know within, and we will get there. Heaven knows how we will get there, but we know we will. Whoa, yeah, yeah. Whoa, yeah, yeah. Whoa, yeah, yeah. Whoa, yeah, yeah. Whoa, yeah, yeah.